Welcome to We Don't Have Cookies with your host, Jason Marshall.
Hey everybody, thanks for downloading the show. The podcast is finally back on track, so let's just pretend the last 2 months never happened. I have a great month of shows planned out. You're going to love them. It all starts with this episode. The podcast official weatherman, viral video star, YouTube sensation, and Canada's favorite son, Frankie MacDonald, will return to the show, as well as another Canadian. 3/6 of the wood enthusiasts, Larry Woodstone, will be here as well. But first, my next guest hasn't been on the podcast for a while because she's been ignoring my text. It's the one and only Elena Davies. How you doing?
Hey, listen, just forget the last 2 months ever happened, okay?
It's all water under the fridge.
Really, though, I use this whole line whenever a guy ghosts you, I'll text them. I mean, this hasn't happened to me in years because I don't talk to guys, but, you'll be chatting with someone, like getting to know them, and then they just like fall off. Mm-hmm. And so I'll always hit them with I'm sorry to hear about your thumbs text, like, because you must have gotten in like a horrific thumb accident if you're not texting me back. And now people are starting to use it against me. I've gotten 2 I'm sorry about your thumb texts this morning from 2 of my girlfriends. And I'm like, wow, you're in a bad place when I just
awesome.
Can't do it. I feel bad, but I'm overwhelmed. My life is hard, okay? But I'm happy to be here. I did eventually text you back.
That is true. I have 2 topics I want to talk to you about today, so let's get into it. The first thing I want to talk to you about is somebody that you talked about on your podcast while I was editing it, but you had me take it out because you couldn't find the song. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Oh my gosh, Cummy D.
That's right.
Stop.
Do you want to fill listeners in?
Did you find the song?
Well, we'll talk about that in a sec. Do you want to fill listeners in on who Cummy D is?
Yes. Oh my God. Sorry. I just feel like they should know because it was such an impactful thing that happened to me. I feel like just knowing who I am or hearing my voice, you should know that this is a thing that happened.
And unfortunately, even your podcast listeners haven't heard about it because we had to take it out of that episode because of the song.
There was no context available. It was like this whole big, amazing story and then like no finish. Right. So, okay, listen, guys, a few months back, and this actually relates back to, I think the other thing you want to talk about. I'm making an assumption right now, but I was being cast for another TV show, and being in the world we live in now, there's just a lot of crap online about fake stuff, real stuff, wild stuff about you. Reality TV fans are nuts. And I say that with love in my heart. So I was being cast for this new show, and I was like, you know what? I should probably Google myself. I haven't done that in a while. Like, I turned my Google alerts off. Like, let's just find out what's going on online about me. And I took a really deep dive. I'm scrolling, I'm going from page to page, and then I see it. My mouth drops open. My name on youporn.com. And I was like, oh no, no, how did this happen? I was so careful. I only sent nudes to trusted people. Like, come on, this has got to be a joke. Turns out it was, and it was the best joke of my life. I click on the link, and it is a masturbation parody song written about me with specific detail, a lot of auto-tune, just everything you would want in a masturbation parody song. And it was there. I mean, honestly, the lyrics were funny. It was great. I honestly like so proud of it. Like, what a proud moment. And then I come to find that there's not just one masturbation parody song. There are 2. I have a whole other FAP tribute dedicated to me, thanks to Cummy D. And I loved it. I showed it off to my friends. I was like texting it to like my middle school principal and youth pastor, like, look guys, look how far I've come. And I have a friend who was like, look, we need to reach out to this guy. Like, how funny would it be if we had him on your podcast? Like, we need to talk to him. But you have to create a YouPorn account to communicate with other users. So my friend created a YouPorn account. They named their handle Elena's Big Boobies, because I was, featured in the song. And friend requested, I don't know how porn social media platforms work with specific detail, but reached out to the guy, and he immediately went dark. He made the videos private. So not only do I have this amazing porn song out about me, I can't even access it anymore. So I'm bragging to people about it and then sending the video, and it's just a black screen. How embarrassing.
I have found that song.
Shut up.
And more importantly, I found the man who made it.
No, how'd you do this? You're my hero.
So, if I remember right, you did say you wanted to talk to the guy, right?
Yes.
Would you be willing to do that on this podcast if I got him to agree to it?
Of course.
All right. I'm going to try to work on that. Hopefully we can set something up very soon. I was really excited when I found the guy. So,
how did you do this? Oh my God. Honestly, I've had the worst year of my life, and this whole situation might have been the worst thing that happened to me out of all of it.
Well, maybe we can make a song for him too, and we can play it on that episode.
I can sure try. I don't know if I have the artistic abilities that he clearly possesses, but he deserves a song.
Well, here's another thing. I don't think I've told you this. I took a clip from one of your shows that I edited, and it has this rap trap beat to it, and it's just your voice, and I'm determined to make a song out of that. Maybe we can use that.
Okay, good. So we're on to something already.
I'll have to Dropbox that to you.
Perfect. God bless. That's such great news. You've really done a number on my day.
And hopefully, if I get them to agree, maybe on the 4-year anniversary at the end of the month, I can get you on one more time. We can play the song for the listeners, because I want to make sure I get his permission first. And we can do a live, a pre-taped reaction to your hearing the song for the first time in however long on that show.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I literally will try to, when I tell people the story, because it's still a really very funny, incredible story. But they'll be like, well, what, kind of just break me off a piece, give me a taste. And I'm like, I really don't know. But I'll be trying to sing my masturbation parody song to people, and I'm pretty sure I'm butchering it. I've got lyrics missing, the beat's all wrong. I can't wait to be with my song again. It's been too long.
It's just funny to hear those words mashed together. And what makes it even funnier is the person who it's about is talking about it.
I know, and the passion in which I discuss it with. It's clearly something that's important to me. God bless. Oh, that's wonderful news. You really blessed me.
The last thing I want to talk to you about is the TV show that you're on now called X on the Beach, that airs every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern on MTV. The first episode, when this comes out, aired yesterday. For anybody who missed it, you can watch it on demand. What can people expect to see on that show?
Just a big old mess. It's a really big mess. It's very funny. So I have this little anecdote. I'll be meeting a new person or talking to an old friend or whatever, and people are like, "Where are you living at now?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm with my mom at my mom's house. Almost 29, living with my mom." And then people are like, "Oh, oh, well, yeah." And I'm like, "Yeah, apparently it's a little weird to keep living with your ex-boyfriend. That's why I had to move out, because he dumped me. And so that's a strange thing to do, is just cohabitate. Unless, of course, it's filmed 24/7 and you share your space with 15 other very toxic people in really messed up relationships. Then it's fine. Then that's normal. Then that's a normal thing, because that's apparently what I did. We broke up. I moved in with my mom. And then MTV's like, "Hey, can we film you living with your ex?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's a good idea." Sure. Sign me up.
How did they approach you to be on the show?
What's funny is actually the person who cast me for Big Brother, who has become one of my very best friends, was casting for the show. And don't even know if I'm really allowed to speak about this. Whatever. But she reached out to me. The way the casting rules works is most casting people hop from show to show. They're not just assigned to one network or just assigned to one show, because, well, what would they do with the rest of their year? So she was working on this show. I didn't know what the show was, but they'll kind of reuse people that didn't make it on another show, but still had something good, or they'll reach out to their reality TV star friends that they've cast before. A lot of people that go on reality TV go into casting just because you have a very clear idea of like what networks are looking for. So I've had people, other reality show people and casting people reach out to me like, hey, I need someone who's like kind of like this, kind of like that. Do you know anyone? So the person who cast me actually was like, hey, looking for singles, looking for this, blah, blah, blah. If you know anyone, I sent her a bunch of people. And then a couple months later, a few weeks later, I don't know. I guess my agent knew that I was single, that Mark and I had broken up because we had some deals together. So I had to alert him. He reached out to MTV to let them know. And then he reached out to me with a lot of caution. He was like, I'm really like, no, I don't want to upset you. This was like maybe a week or two after we broke up. Maybe.
Wow.
And he was like, I just was wondering like if you had any interest in MTV on X on the Beach, blah, blah, blah. And then within like 20 minutes, my casting person was calling me. She was like, hey, can I talk to you? Because she overheard my name being dropped. So I just started the casting process. I think she was like, I felt really bad. She didn't want to think that she was setting me up for that because she was someone that did know that we had broken up too. But she wasn't going to pitch me for the show because it's an experience, you know, it's not like, I think people look at stuff like that and be like, oh, well, it's just entertainment for us, or maybe those people's relationships aren't super serious, and maybe some of them aren't, but mine and Mark's was. So it could have been very painful, or it could have been a huge success. You never know. There's risk reward to balance, but it was interesting. It didn't go how I hoped it would. I'll tell you that, but it happened. It was meant to happen, I guess. So here we are.
That was my next question. This is more than just a TV show that people like me and the listeners can watch. This is your real life and emotions for the world to see. You obviously went on. We're talking about it. But was it a hard decision to make, to put all of that really personal stuff and to put you in that deeply personal position out there?
Oh yeah, it was super hard. I actually tried to like get out of it a couple times. Like I would have moments of being like, you know what? I was looking at it the way that I looked at Big Brother when I was cast for that show. I was like, well, look, I'm going to see what the opportunity does. If I go through casting and I make it on the show, then I was meant to be on the show. And I was kind of like leaving it up to that, like some like kismet, serendipitous fate. But with this show, there was just so much more emotion and personal life connection and relationships on the line. And even if me and Mark were never meant to be together and like we were meant to break up, like I didn't want something like this to be traumatic and like damage any kind of like civility we might have left with each other. You know, I didn't want to create hatred or animosity. And so I had nerves about it for sure and a lot of reservations, but I was like, well, I'll just keep going through the casting process. Like maybe it'll be a good opportunity to like work with this network. Maybe other opportunities will come from it. You know, maybe I'll get to meet new people, cool people. Maybe this will be really good for me and Mark. So I'd have those moments, but then literally right before the show, I went to full blown panic attack mode, like was losing my mind, I was like, I can't do it. Like cancel my contract. I gotta go because I was so nervous. But like I said, it was meant to be. So it be, but it's been a roller coaster year for sure.
And I remember right before you went on, I think we were talking the day before that moved
me in.
Yeah. So I know you were very apprehensive about the whole situation.
Very nervous, very concerned, a lot of nerves. So I think if anything, this will just prove to those that know me and watch this, like how strong your girl is.
Do you have anything that you can tell the listeners that's an exclusive from the show that won't get you in trouble, or any funny backstage moments?
I've probably already said too much, but whatever. Here we are. I will say like the some of the promo stuff, like my intro, coming up out of the water is like very X on the Beach, and like they try to do it like really sexy, and I think that they just like truly could not get anything of me looking sexy. I was being wiped out by waves. I literally left with like bloody feet. I have a scar on my foot from that shoot day of shooting the promos because the waves were so wild. And every time we were out on the beach, like we're in Malibu, right? It's stunning. But anytime we filmed outside or on the beach, we would have like long days out on the beach. It was freezing cold. Like there's one scene where we were outside for hours and I swear you're going to be able to see my tits shaking because it literally, I've never been colder in my life.
We might have another Cummy D song coming our way.
I know. I think I'm just providing more content for Cummy D with this show. I hope he writes a couple more songs about me. I deserve them.
Well, I want to thank you for being on the show. Before you go, where can people find you and your podcast online?
Yeah. So on social media, I'm at Elena Davies everywhere. It's ELENADAVIES. My podcast is the MiscELENAeous Podcast. It's a little hard to spell. So there is a call to action in my Instagram bio. It'll take you to my podcast Instagram page and to the link to where you can listen. And I think I'm everywhere. You can find me, and you can search my name too, and it'll pull up my podcast if you're looking to listen.
And I'll have all those links in the show notes section. That came off so clunky. But thanks again for being on the show. But stay with me during the break, because I'm going to be bringing back the question from my last guest segment on next week's episode. I need to get one from you for my next guest. And I know what you guys are thinking out there. Are Mark and Elena getting back together or not? What's it going to be? We just have to watch X on the Beach, 8 p.m. Eastern on MTV, and find out. I'm going to play a song called What's It Gonna Be by comedian Mike O'Connell and Dr. Ken from the Hangover series, and I'll be back with Larry Woodstone.
So unless you want a shot of this generic gin that I've been drinking in the corner since I don't know when, then I won't be much use to you. But look, I think your ass looks delicious. I got to get my dick in your britches. He will. Your body gonna make me religious. Hey, you know I wanna sex it with you. But look, now I got a lot of bitches to plow. So you can fuck me later, but you should fuck me now. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? Vagina of yours, you wouldn't leave it in the hands of an amateur. You put it on my dick and you sit real good. You know that's where you wanna be. Look, now I got a lot of bitches to plow, so you can fuck me later, but you should fuck me now. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? Ha! I ain't got all night now. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? Listen, I know an alleyway we could fuck all night, and I promise not to come until the morning light. But you know I got about 1 billion bitches to plow, so you can fuck me later, but you should fuck me now. What's it Come gonna on. Be? What's it gonna be? Ha! I ain't got all night now. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? $1 million strong. I ain't got all night now.
The podcast has had a pretty big lull this year because of the treepacolypse. Just a quick recap for anybody listening for the first time. The treepacolypse is where I cut down over 40 trees, then planted around 25, maybe a little more, a few bushes, every color of raspberry and blackberry you can imagine. Oh my goodness. So with all of that going on, it just makes sense to have this guy on as my guest from the WDHC Podcast. It's Larry Woodstone. How you doing?
Oh my goodness. I'm hearing you guys here and I'm getting all excited in my house. I'm ravaging my fridge as we speak, looking for berries, hearing about you tossing all these berry plants. Well, I'm kind of at the end of my wits here, hearing about these cutting down trees. That's an exciting adventure. Cutting down trees, that's something we just live for. I like to cut them down and sniff them. And then, planting them is just wonderful. That's something the children should be involved in, Jason. And even if you don't have any of your own, kind of go to a park and, take your cell phone and kind of videotape the kids for a while and find some kids that are really excited about, woods and trees and bring them out to the bush and get them to help you plant trees. That's something we do all the time here.
Let me ask you about this. I just found this last week and ordered some. They haven't come yet. They're supposed to be here in late August. I found white blackberries. What are your thoughts on those? Are they from the devil?
This is something, what? It's actually the opposite. This is something that can really harmonize a lot of the issues in the world. In our day and age, there's a thing called diversity, and some people are trying to smack it down. And I've said this for Jason, I've said this for years and years and years and years and years and years. I said, you want to talk about diversity? Go stick a white blackberry in your mouth and suck on that for a little bit. Because what you're going to find is there's juices that are going to flow down your throat that you didn't even know existed, because that's harmony, and sometimes you see a picture of maybe a white child and a black child holding hands. And sometimes people don't even like to talk about this because that sounds, inappropriate, but it's not, and that's what a white blackberry does for us. It's juicy and it's soft. It's wonderful. It's a real treat.
Well, I have planted so many trees out in the yard this year. I'm really curious, what is your favorite tree?
Oh my goodness. That's not even really a question. There's two answers, because first, I got to answer for Gary, because he's one of the wisest guy I've ever known. And he's going to go and say mahogany. That's not in question. We're not talking about this. This isn't a debate. The debate comes in because, Larry, myself, I like soft trees. I like softwood, and I like, spruce, pine, and fir. And right now it's kind of a toss up between spruce and pine. When you called me, I was out in the garage and I'm building some tables, and I'm chopping wood, and it's getting in my nose, and I'm sniffing it, and it's getting in my eyeballs, and I'm kind of rubbing it in. And that's all spruce. And I'm thinking, in the moment, I'm thinking, okay, this is something else. This is something exciting, because I really like spruce. So right now, kind of, 2019 and in the season of the wood, it's kind of a spruce season for me.
What are your thoughts on sugar maple?
Oh, sugar maple is a wonderful thing. Gary, I don't know if you've been listening to our podcast, but Gary's been sucking trees. We have this new thing where he kind of puts a cart strap around his head and straps himself to a tree, and we drill holes. And he wraps his lips. We peel a little bit of the bark, so there's a really good tight suction. And we peel a little bit of the bark, and he gets his lips on there, and he hulls. He hulls back. And that's what we've been doing to a lot of sugar maples, because he gets, Gary can be a little bit spicy, a little bit saucy. You get him a half hour suckling off a sugar maple, and he's all happy and giddy as a kid. So that's what I like to do.
Glenn Clutterbuck, he's another member of the Wood Enthusiast. He's very into tree hydration. And it takes me a little over an hour to water all the new trees and plants in the yard. Do you know how much Glenn would charge to do that for me?
Yeah, well, if you told Glenn that your trees are running a little dry, Glenn's got, Clutterbuck Industries is a very wealthy place in Canada. That's part of Glenn's family. They've got a lot of money. So Glenn kind of takes the credit card, and flies all over and just waters trees for free. I worry when he hears this podcast, he's going to be at your house banging on the door with a couple buckets of water. And he's got a really special fanny pack. He had a custom order fanny pack where he can hold maybe 15 bottles.
Wow.
Plastic bottles. He likes to use plastic bottles and toss them. For the environment, obviously for environmental reasons. He's kind of a green earth guy, so for environmental reasons, he uses plastic bottles. So he'll probably show up with plastic bottles.
I did see a video of him with a tool belt with the plastic bottles. It was very impressive.
Yeah, the tool belt was kind of at the genesis. We like to say genesis of this whole program. But he's really upscaled. He's got a lot of money. His father's got a lot of money. He's really supportive of all Glenn's nonsense, watering full-grown adult trees with water bottles. So he's been able to make some custom packs.
I've seen him actually water dead trees too.
That's something he does all the time. We've always had this old saying, at the Wood Enthusiasts, we say Glenn's an idiot. It's kind of an old, it's a saying that we use a lot because, it bears fruit. It bears truth. When we say it bears fruit, it means it's true. Glenn can be a real idiot. So.
But you know what? I had a tree in my yard. It was from the George Washington estate. It's a pawpaw tree. I don't know if you know what those are, but they have. Oh,
that sounds. Yeah, of course. You're talking to the Wood Enthusiast. Founding father here. Of course. Yeah, of course.
Anybody out there who may not know, they have a fruit on them. It's kind of like a banana, but they're a little shorter, more round, and they have some seeds in them. I thought mine that I got from where I just said the George Washington estate, I thought it died last year. I just kept watering it anyway just to see what would happen. This year, it looked like it was dead, and a few months ago, it started getting some leaves on it. So you just never know. Maybe it's worth watering those dead trees.
Something really exciting about that tree is it goes through life cycles. Sometimes for years, it'll be full of plenty full of fruit. And then a few years, it goes on what we like to call, and there's a lot of trees that do this, Jace. They hibernate, and they'll go for about 3 seasons with no production. And sometimes I like to snap those suckers right off and make a table out of it. That's when I like to pull my saws out when those things are useless. Like Glenn, we always call them Glenn trees, when they're just piles of crap laying around and you can't use them. And then all of a sudden they bloom. They bloom out and you're just like, oh my goodness. And you can suck on those little bananas.
Well, you have some fun facts that you sent me to play as segments on the podcast. I'll start having those coming out again soon. It was great to have you on the show again. I hope to have you back soon. But in the meantime, where can people find you and your show?
Oh my God. And just like you, we've been on a little bit of a hiatus because, as you know, it's wood season. So obviously spring, summer, fall, winter are wood season. But when it comes to the spring and summer, we're knocking down trees and we're suckling. Gary's out there suckling 24 hours a day. I can't even get him inside. So we're having a hard time getting together. But this summer we're filming our show again. And I'm actually going up next weekend. But, we've got a couple more podcasts. We're in the middle of recording now, just getting the interviews in because people, Jason, you run a show. People are knocking down the door saying, get me on that show.
Oh yeah.
So we're doing a lot of that, but, just follow us. If you look up at Wood Enthusiasts, you're going to find us. If you look at Wood Enthusiasts on any podcast player, you're going to be able to find some of the treasures that we offer.
One more thing before we go. How are things going with your upcoming TV show?
Oh my goodness. It's overwhelming at times. Obviously, if you talk to anybody in Hollywood, we're kind of the Hollywood of Canada. That's what they say. Everybody, we walk down the street and they're like, oh, there's Hollywood royalty, that kind of thing with Maple Leafs and everything. So, it's coming along, and we have some really excited stations, and Rogers Canada is going to play it all over the country. But it's a matter of filming. I'm in the middle of moving myself up to Muskoka over the next few months here. So we're excited to be able to get closer to Gary and a little bit, maybe a little bit closer to Glenn. Maybe that's not a great thing. And when that time comes, we're just going to be filming, knocking off video after video. So we're really excited. I got a new green screen.
Oh, nice.
I got a new green screen, which is, it's a secret though, because you don't know it. When we're playing our shows, you don't know it's a green screen. That's a secret. That's a little technology that, it's really exciting for us. Cell phones and green screens. You know what I mean, Jason? Cell phones and green screens.
Well, Larry, I want to thank you one more time for coming on the show today. It was a lot of fun, as always. Everybody, go check out the Wood Enthusiast Podcast and make sure you subscribe to them on YouTube. A lot of fun watching those videos. I'm going to take a quick break, and when I come back, I'll be joined by another Canadian, Frankie MacDonald, to give you this week's weather.
Want to contact the show? Send an email to jason@wedonthavecookies.com or call 929-266-9342 and leave a voicemail.
This is Mark Jansen from Big Brother 19 and MarkJansenFitness.com, and you are listening to We Don't Have Cookies.
Frankie, what will the weather be like around the world starting on Wednesday through Sunday?
It's going to be a heat wave all across the entire continent. It's going to bring more heat waves. New York City, New Jersey. It's going to bring more thunderstorms on Wednesday and Thursday in Manhattan, New York, and all these places. It's going to bring cold weather down Australia, New Zealand. They're supposed to bring some snow in Queenstown, New Zealand. This week it's going to bring colder weather down New Zealand. And I'd like to introduce to Jack Casey. It's the guy who does the Bass Guy Show. Jack Casey has a beard. He's a really nice guy. You can subscribe to him on YouTube. Frankie MacDonald is on Bass Guy Show on Monday afternoons, Wednesday afternoons, and Friday afternoons at 2:20 p.m. Atlantic Time, which is 1:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
That sounds great, Frankie. And what can people do to be prepared for the heat wave coming up here in the United States?
Drink a lot of water. Drink lots of water. Drink lots of woods. Head to the beach. Go swimming to get cooled off.
And Frankie, I would like to have you on every week going forward. Things have been a little crazy this year. We haven't been able to set it up like I wanted to, but hopefully we can start doing that starting this week. What do you think about that?
Great. That means there's going to be a lot of storms all over. They had a bad tropical storm, Hurricane Barry, that struck Louisiana, caused a lot of flood and things like that, and caused a lot of chaos.
Well, Frankie, I'd like to have you on a little longer in a couple of weeks to answer some listener questions on the podcast anniversary episode. Are you up for that?
Yes.
All right. That sounds great. I will have you back on next week to give the weather.
Best luck to you. I'm Frankie MacDonald. You're listening to We Don't Have Cookies.
And now it is time for this week's Strange Days. If you're listening to this on the day it comes out, Wednesday, July 17th, is Yellow Pig Day and World Emoji Day. I'm not sure which one of those I can care less about. But side note, when I text friends, I always type out an expression of an emoji instead of using the emoji. Like, I'll write out laughing cry face emoji instead of sending one. I am not sure why I do that, but I really, really enjoy it. Anyway, Thursday is Insurance Nerd Day, so do a binge watch of Progressive and Geico commercials. You can watch other ones too, but those are the best. I know because I'm an insurance nerd. Friday is Stick Out Your Tongue Day. Saturday is Space Exploration Day. It's not Astronomy Haiku Day, but it's close. And finally, Sunday is Ice Cream Day and Junk Food Day. That is my favorite day of the week so far, probably the year. The podcast anniversary episode is coming up at the end of the month. The show will be 4 years old. I can't believe that. This episode is always the biggest one of the year. That is going to be a lot of fun. So if this is your first time listening to the podcast, make sure you subscribe. Got a lot of shows you're not going to want to miss this month. Next week, I will be talking to another former guest from the Big Brother house. Kevin Schlehuber will be here. And I will be talking to Caitlin Herman from the last season of Big Brother. Both are very funny people, and I promise you do not want to miss that episode. All right, guys, I really appreciate everybody sticking with me through the rough couple of months that I had there. Things are finally back to normal, and I just wanted to say thank you. I really appreciate it, and it means a lot to me. So I wanted to make sure I say that before I go. That is it for me this week. I'll talk to you on Monday.
Thanks for listening. Tell your friends about the show and leave a review. See you next time.
Go stick a white blackberry in your mouth and suck on that for a little bit.